And so yesterday, the experiences that I had, I was on my way going out quite early into the city because I had things to do. The train came and I got on, and just before the doors closed, an old lady got on who I had not noticed standing on the platform. And she said, "Does anybody have $1?" And me, with the heart I have, I immediately took out my purse and I waited to see what the Lord will say to me. It is quite my habit to give help when I see that it's needed. I don't tell people things like you should have worked harder or this is the land of opportunity. I know that God has blessed me. I have a place to lay my head at night and there is food in the refrigerator. I do not take these things for granted. I give thanks always, and therefore I will always have an open hand to extend to whoever needs it. So I wait for God to tell me who to give to and how much. Instead, the Holy Spirit said, "Do not reach out your hand and connect with that demon." Now, when I looked at the lady, yes, she had the usual cart and she was a bit shabby and everything, but she didn't give the total appearance of homelessness where you can see this person is demonized. She was just old and she just looked like she needed, and her voice was so plaintive. But this was one of the voices of the plethora of demons that it turned out this lady later had. And because I'm going right into the heart of the city, I'm on this train for at least 25 stops. And what an experience it was. "Does anybody have $1?" I reach out my hand to go into the purse and I'm waiting for God to speak. And all the Holy Spirit tells me is, do not reach out your hand and connect with that demon. I look and I see no demon, but I've heard the Lord. And so I'm puzzling over it in my heart a little bit because God is even more generous than I am, but I don't do anything. I go back to what I started to read, and before you know it, this woman began to show all her colors. I have never heard the kind of verbal filth come out of a female mouth as I heard from that lady's mouth. It got to the point where I had to take out headphones and put them in, and I could still hear her through the music that I started playing. The men were scandalized. The women were scandalized. This woman was cursing fit to set herself on fire. And people began to move away, but the car was already full. And so there wasn't much that we could do. Soon a space opened up next to her, and I was sitting just in the other section next to her. And then this woman began to say, "Do you see this girl?" Speaking of me. "Do you see this girl? She..." And whenever she would say she, garbled speech would come out of her mouth. She could not speak. Her mouth was shut. And then when she stopped, she would go back to cursing. And then she would say, "Do you see this girl? She..." And again, the Lord would shut her mouth. And so now people were looking at me with interest like, what does she do? But I knew it was the Lord stopping that spirit from speaking on me, cursing me, or even revealing anything about me to these strangers. Like I said, I have these encounters all the time. I have gotten on trains and a man began to lean and lean and lean and lean. Ordinary man. He was ordinary when I got on the train, but he began to lean towards me so much that all the people in our section of the train car were staring at me as if, "Do you know this man?" And when I changed my position, he would twist his neck to follow me. And this is not a human being ogling. This is what spirits are like. I have gotten on the bus Sunday morning heading to church, and I need the bus to go and connect with the train, and had a man leave his seat and come and sit behind me and begin to bark. This was not a full bus. So everybody on the bus was looking at this man who they had been riding with, and he was normal. And then I got on the bus and he began to bark. I have gotten on the train before, gotten into a full train, and a man who was living the alternative lifestyle in just a very thin mesh shirt. This was last year in summer. A very thin shirt and the tiniest shorts that I've ever seen a human male over 6 feet wear. As soon as I entered the train car, this man looked and went, "No, no, 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 no." And saying no, he completely ran out the car into the other car. And so now everybody is looking at me like, there are so many things inside people. People are going to start manifesting in your office. You're going to think, why is she more argumentative than normal? Why is he so angry than normal? God says the times are changing, to tell you that evil is pouring into the world. For those who think, oh no, the blessed hope is sending a blessed message that his blessed people need to wake up very quickly, or they are going to be blessedly hurt because of ignorance and because of stubbornness and refusal to listen to what Jesus is telling us.